Hello, people. They say that you should talk about things that you know about, and that's why I want to talk to you today about the reality of growing old. And I'm going to tell you it from my perspective because I'm not unique. I think that there are many senior people, senior citizens, who feel the same as I do, think the same as I do, and do things the same as I do. And I hope by the end of this you will look upon older people slightly differently and maybe have a different perspective on what it's like to grow old. And I'm speaking from a point of view that I am old and I'm an old man. There's two sides to growing old. There is the physical side and there is the mental side. And I'm going to start with the mental side because I think that PMA, positive mental attitude, I think that's very important. It's important in all aspects of life, but especially when you get old. You see, I don't feel as old as I really am. I don't feel my age and I don't act my age, which is a problem that I've had all my life. But it's true. I don't look at myself the same way that I look at other old people. I don't think that I'm as old as them. I think I'm lucky not to look like this, but I think I'm lucky in as much that I've reached the age I have without any serious physical or mental illnesses, touch wood, because it could happen tomorrow, it could happen next week, but why worry about it at the moment? And I know friends and I know members of my family who are much younger than I am and they can't do some of the things I can do, and they're not physically as able as I am because they haven't been as lucky. So I am one of those people that consider myself lucky to be able to be as mental, as mentally with it, and as physically okay as I am. I'm not brilliant, and the thing is, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it because I don't actually do anything to sort of push back the tides of time. Growing old isn't something you wake up one day and think, oh God, I'm old. It's one of these things that creeps up on you and little things happen and all these little things. It's a little bit like if you've got a relative that's got a child and you don't see that child for some time, you think, oh God, they've grown. The people that live with them just don't see that because it happens gradually. And it's the same with growing old. And the mental side, there's these lots of vlogs about you should keep your mental side going, you should do puzzles and you should keep it active, and there's very much, again with the physical side, there's very much this attitude, if you don't use it you will lose it. And you know, I kind of agree with that, but I don't do anything deliberately solely to fight the ravages of time. I guess what I do naturally and that I want to do are things that in themselves help, and I'm going to explain that to you. So mentally, what do I do mental apart from being mental? What do I do that sort of helps with my mentality and helps with fighting back being senile? I still ride my motorcycle, as the channel title implies. And I've mentioned this before, that it's a kind of therapy. I go out on the bike and I don't think about the actual riding because that's, I think that's what they call unconscious competence, when you do something without thinking, you just do it. But when I'm on the bike, I do sort of think about traffic, road, the bike's performance, what's around the next bend, what that guy who's just pulled up at that junction is going to do. So my brain is in ride mode. And I suppose that keeps my brain active, the fact that I know that if I had an accident on the motorbike it's going to be a lot more serious than if I had it in a car. So there is that aspect to it. The next one might surprise you, and this is where the sort of preconceptions of old people come in. You've probably got the vision of an old person sitting in a chair with a blanket over their lap, doing Sudoku puzzles and crosswords. No, I play video games. I know it's not my world. I know I'm an old geezer, but I do. I've played video games since they first started coming out, when they were pixelated and terrible. But I don't go online and play multiplayer sort of real world games and that sort of thing. I play certain games of a certain type. I like things like Silent Hill, Red Dead Redemption, uh, Uncharted. I like those games. Tomb Raider, and The Last of Us. I'm into all of those, and The Last of Us is kind of a survival game, and it's mostly eye-hand coordination, so I suppose that helps with that. Things like Tomb Raider, though, especially the more recent ones, there are lots of tombs that you have to go in and solve a puzzle to get to where you've got to get to go. What buttons to press, what levers to do, what mirrors to move, what rocks to do. And that, I suppose, is the mental side. It keeps that bit going. So mentally, unconsciously, I kind of do those things. And I enjoy a good video game, and I enjoy going out for a ride on the bike. It's not something I do purely to keep my brain active. It's just what I do. And of course, doing this. Doing this isn't something that most old people do, but I do it and I enjoy it. And I hope that the people who watch my vlogs enjoy them as well. The physical side of growing old. Well, what you notice as you get older is not just the lines and not just the grey hair and the fact that it takes you twice as long to do something. There are other aspects to it as well. For example, if you get a cut, when I was younger, I'd get a cut in my hand and it would be gone within a couple of days. Now if I get a cut or a bruise, it's there for 2 weeks before it goes. And you notice those little changes. I only live about 15 minutes from the town centre where I live, and I will always walk into the town centre, unless it's pouring rain, in which case I'll take the car. But if it's, even today, it's freezing cold out there and I've walked down into town to get a couple of things. And I try and do that 2 or 3 times a week. And I suppose I don't do it because, oh, it's the healthy thing to do. I do it because I want to. I want the fresh air, and I know that it does me good to walk down into town. And the thing is, I walk not briskly. I'm not one of these people like the Olympians who do the walking event who like this, but on their toe. I kind of do walk at speed, briskly, I suppose they'd say. And even members of my family who are younger than me, who've walked into town with me, have sort of said, slow down. But it's me, it's the way I walk. But life throws these reminders at you that you are in fact old, and it kind of keeps you in check, that you don't become sort of oblivious to the fact that you're old, because it can be dangerous if you think you're young and act like you're young. And I'll give you 2 examples. Last year was the first time I went for a haircut. And afterwards, the young man that cut my hair, just about to pay, he says, OAP discount, sir? And I thought, yes, please. And I would have said that even if I didn't qualify. But that was one example. The other example, well, I was walking home, and in front of me was this young mother with a little boy on a bike with stabilisers. And the walk home slightly uphill. And this boy kept stopping because he was getting tired. And he clearly wanted the mum to pick up and carry the bike so he could walk, but she wouldn't. She wanted him to ride home. And I walked past them as they were stopping constantly. And quite loudly, the little boy said, Mum, that old man's just passed us. So make no bones about it. I am old. I know I'm old. But next time you see an old person, just remember they don't see themselves as you see them. That we kind of, and I say we as an old person, we kind of sometimes forget that we're old. But if you're sensible, you know your limitations, you know what you can and can't do. I'm not going to take part in a marathon. I don't want to, unless it's made of chocolate. And yes, I don't go out on a Saturday night like I used to. I much prefer sitting with a nice drink, watching Strictly. How boring is that? But that is part of growing old. And it's not as bad as you think, people. It's not. It really isn't. And if you are sensible, and if you don't even have to alter your attitude or your way of life or your habits to a degree, and you'll soon find out that mowing the lawn isn't as easy as it used to be, and you have to have a little rest afterwards, and doing certain things you've got to be careful. and your back and your body tells you, whoa, slow down a bit. But I do think a lot of it is mental. And I think if you've got a good mental attitude, and if you feel young and act young, then I think you behave in that way. And people are often surprised when I tell them how old I am, but I'm not going to tell you how old I am. But I that's my attitude, and I do feel blessed. I do feel lucky that I am still fit and healthy at my age, and I know that tomorrow it could change. But for now, I'm still here and still alive and kicking, people. So that is the reality of growing old. A lot of it's mental, some of it physical, but embrace it. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.